Take your hands off your neck and hold on to the ghost of my body.
Carseatheadrest is an American indie rock band who started to become popular in the mid-2010s with their 10th album, Teens of Denial. But of course, they're most known for their album Twin Fantasy, or more like the album cover. I found Carseatheadrest when I was 14 years old, through a track off Teens of Denial, Fill in the Blank. For years and years, I only ever listened to that song. But when I found Glass Beach's cover of Beach Life and Death, it led me to the original track, and I decided to keep exploring their discography from there. And now, here I am, 6 months later, with an hour-long video on this stupid fucking band, because I really can never enjoy anything casually. This is going to be very similar to my Billie Eilish Iceberg video. I'm going to be going through every item on this iceberg that you guys so graciously picked out, because all you guys want me to do is suffer for some reason, and explaining them. There are some repeats on this, so when those show up, I'm not going to be explaining them twice. I'm going to try my best with the visuals for this, but none of the members of this band are really known for having a big online presence, so please bear with me. Just some things before we go forward with this iceberg, so that I don't have to keep reintroducing them. Here are the members of Carseatheadrest. Ethan Ives, who does guitar, bass, and backing vocals. Seth Dalby, who does bass. Andrew Katz, who does drums, percussion, and backing vocals. And of course, Will Toledo, who does most of the main vocals, guitar, piano, and synths. Teens of Denial. Teens of Denial is actually probably Carseatheadrest's most well-known or approachable album, after Twin Fantasy. I was about to say that one of them might be more approachable to the average person than the other, but they both have like multiple 10+ minute songs on them, so this was their 10th album and it was released in 2006. And it was actually their first album to be recorded in a studio. With most of his other songs being pretty lengthy and wordy, Will admitted that his goal for this album was to write songs that would be easier on his vocal cords to perform. He's made it apparent before that he released records to be able to kind of encapsulate different periods of his life, like what he did with another project, Nearest Young Man. In his words, Will wrote this album during a period in his life where he was not feeling a lot of love. Because he had such a specific vision for this album, it took around 2 years to finish writing it, with a lot of outtakes from those 2 years becoming tracks on another record, How to Leave Town. The most popular or streamed songs off this album being Drunk Driver / Killer Whales, Joe gets kicked out of school for using drugs with friends but says this isn't a problem. Yes, that is all one title. 1937 State Park, and Fill in the Blank. Twin Fantasy, F to F. After being signed to a new record label and the addition of more band members, with much better production resources at his hands, in 2018, Will decided to re-record probably his most popular album, Twin Fantasy, which was originally released by him solo in 2011. This re-recording is under the name Twin Fantasy Face to Face, so that it's not easily mixed up with the original. When I first started getting into Carseatheadrest, I really didn't know anything about this since, I don't know, I think maybe I saw 2 versions of Twin Fantasy and I just assumed that one was a deluxe or something and left it be. And then I spent a good 4 days watching every video essay on this band that I could find, as I do when I find a new thing to casually enjoy. And every single one started mentioning the different versions of this album, which forced me to look it up, and after a while, listen to the other version. This album features a lot of the band's most streamed songs, like Sober to Death, Bodies, High to Death, yes, that was done on purpose, Beach Life and Death, Cute Thing, and My Boy Twin Fantasy. Will Toledo, the lead singer, and kind of the first person people probably associate with Carseatheadrest. Twin Fantasy, MTM. The original version of Twin Fantasy Mirror to Mirror. Again, not to be confused with Twin Fantasy Face to Face. This version of the album has a lot more of a personal feeling in my opinion. Like you just caught a teen going through voice-recorded original songs on their phone that they've never shown anyone else before. The production is a lot more similar to Will's older stuff on Spotify, like My Back Is Killing Me Baby, which makes sense since they were recorded in the same way, if that makes sense. Fun fact, most of the fandom doesn't like Mirror to Mirror as much as Face to Face, at least to my knowledge. It made me scared to try and listen to Mirror at first because I assumed that I was just destined or bound to hate it, but there's actually a couple songs off Mirror to Mirror that I prefer to the face-to-face versions. Monomania. Monomania is Will's 7th album under Carseatheadrest, and it took me looking up what there is to know about this album to find out that monomania is a real word. Guys, I swear I can't trust myself anymore after the existence of fucking Chavel Road. It took me weeks of starting to listen to her music to find out that Femininomenon wasn't an actual word. Again, this album keeps a lot of the sound of his older production. Some of the most popular songs off this record are Los Borrachos, Romantic Theory, Misheard Lyrics, and Mode Gone, though my personal favorites are Souls and Overexposed. Will is a furry. Very public knowledge, actually. Probably why it's near the top of this iceberg. Literally just takes one Google search. Cate Wurtz. I've been a fan of this band for a while now, but honestly I've never really gotten any solid information on the band's relation to Cate, so I'm gonna be referring to this tweet that came up when I looked their names up beside each other. To my knowledge, all that I knew before this was that Cate Wurtz is one of Will's exes, but from this tweet we get the full context. Basically, Will and Cate dated before Cate ended up transitioning, but the relationship ended up not working out. It's been pointed out a lot of times by many fans that like a good chunk of mostly Will's old stuff is about their relationship, but Twin Fantasy and Monomania are the two albums that were specifically written with Cate in mind. Despite their breakup though, they still remain good friends, and Cate even makes art for the band every once in a while. My Back Is Killing Me, Baby. Will's sixth album. The most popular songs off this album would probably be Happy News for Sadness, Something Soon, No Passion, and The Drum. Trait/One Trait Danger. Okay, this one's kind of hard to explain since the lore on this isn't really confirmed. You basically just have to listen to the music and assume, so I'm gonna do my best. One Trait Danger is a band, with Will and Andrew being the only members. Their first release was in 2018 with their album One Trait High. Even though I haven't listened to any of One Trait's discography and honestly don't really plan on it, to my knowledge, a lot of their songs are made to be satirical or kind of like a gag. Okay, I just decided to listen to one Trait song just to get a feel of their music, and it made me really happy to hear a reused lyric in Oh Actually, the I'm on a need a no basis, I'm on a need a no basis line that's also used at the end of Bodies is used multiple times. I don't know, I just thought I would share that. War Is Coming If You Want It. War Is Coming If You Want is a single released in 2017. Which Will revealed in an interview is a song inspired by a dream that he had. The song is meant to counter the thought that suicide might be the best option for people. I've never listened to the song, so I don't really have much more to say about it. But one thing that I did notice from looking at the lyrics of this song is the fact that he starts with the sentence, "Last night I dreamed," which he also does in Dreams Fall Hard off Nervous Young Men, and used later in the first verse of the second part of Beach Life and Death. Last night I dreamed he was trying to kill you. Jimmy Fallon. I really thought that this was just me confused about this, but no, this is actually just a commonly known mystery in this fandom, apparently. 4 years ago, Carseatheadrest was featured on Jimmy Fallon and performed songs like Bodies and Drunk Driver's Killer Whales. But for some reason, the recording of this live performance is like really hard to find. Like stupidly hard? Well, I guess not that hard, but the most reliable place you can find a full recording is Internet Archive. So that like tells you all you need to know. But yeah, I have no idea. Literally, when you look it up on YouTube, it comes out nowhere. The best idea that I have is this Reddit post that I found when I looked this up. But I feel like even though it could be, there's a good chance that there's another reason why it's not easily findable that we just don't know about or something. Making a Door Less Open. I don't remember where I saw this. I think it was on Pinterest, but I saw a meme where someone posted about this album with its name, and someone replied, "So closing it?" ? And that's the first thing I think of whenever I think of this album. Making a Door Less Open, or usually abbreviated to Madlow, was the band's 12th album, but their 4th album under Matador Records. Will started working on Madlow all the way back in 2015, with him only fully fleshing out all of his song ideas in 2018. Will also said that one of his biggest inspirations while working on making this album complete was Radiohead. Specifically, what the freak is this song title? I really should look these up before I start recording these scripts. Why is this a Latin word? Specifically, Idiotech and Kid. Weightlifters was the first song that was written for this album, with songs like Him being complete accidents and Can't Cool Me Down being the definition of a risk. It's so noticeably different from their other projects, which might be a reason for why, apparently, a lot of people don't like it that much. Especially Hollywood, which I really don't understand because I love the lyricism and the production is so beautiful. Bandcamp/numbered albums. People call these the numbered albums because they were all named after numbers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All released in 2010 when Will didn't really have much of an audience. I've seen a lot of people call this his experimental music, since he leans a lot more heavily into the stream of consciousness writing that is his writing style. Before releases like Twin Fantasy and Teens of Denial, he had a bigger presence on Bandcamp than Spotify. Like his non-numbered releases around the same time, Little Pieces of Paper with No Written on Them and Disjecta Membra, a kind of bonus album that you could get on his Bandcamp if you bought one of his other albums, Nervous Young Man, a certain amount of times. All the albums that I just mentioned include tracks like Kid War, Will You Please Pass the... Okay. Why are there so many P's in this? Will You Please Pass the Milk Please? A lot of variations of Beach Blank, The Ghost of Bob Saget, I Can Talk With My Eyes Shut, and the Coffee House song. because who the hell wants to read this long of a fucking title?
How to Leave Town.
How to Leave Town was Will's second EP and was originally released on Bandcamp in 2014, before also being available on Spotify. This EP was also his final solo project before expanding the band and signing with Matador Records. This album is actually mostly just composed of outtakes and drafts that were created while writing for Teens of Denial, and including songs like Beast Monster Thing, Hey Space Cadet, I Want You to Know That I'm Awake / I Hope That You're Asleep, and the exciting 15-minute track, The Ending of Dramamine. I'm kidding, this is probably one of my favorite tracks off this project.
Nervous Young Man.
Nervous Young Man is a compilation album released in 2013 of music that Will had been working on for the last 4 to 5 years of his life, released between Living While Starving and Disjecta Membra. This was Carseatheadrest's longest album to date, with it clocking in at a bit over 2 hours. The most well-known songs off this album would probably be Boxing Day, The Gun Song, and Knife in the Coffee.
Teens of Style.
Teens of Style is Carseatheadrest's 9th album. This is another re-recorded album, featuring re-recordings of songs off My Back Is Killing Me Baby, re-recorded after the full band was formed and signed with Matador. I watched a video of someone going through Carseatheadrest's discography and said something like, if you see Teens of Style, just listen to the original versions of the songs because they're so much better. And I 100% agree with that statement.
Matador Records.
The record label that Carseatheadrest signed to in 2015. Yeah, I literally just talked about it, so.
Anna Ng in Cute Thing.
In their song Cute Thing, Anna Ng by the popular rock band They Might Be Giants is mentioned in one of the lyrics. I accidentally spoke your first name aloud, trying to make it fit in with the lyrics of Anna Ng. Worked out like a charm. He referenced this song because later in the song, he borrows lyrics from it. The lyrics from Anna Ng being, Anna Ng, we're getting old. When will we walk in each other's majestic presence? Listen, Anna, hear my words. They're the ones you would think I would say if there was a me for you. But he reworked it to be, we're getting old. When will we walk in each other's majestic presence? Listen, hear my words. They're the ones you would think I would say if I was John Linnell or trying to be John Linnell.
The Quad Dub.
The Quad Dub is a compilation album that Will was on before he signed to Matador. Yeah, that's basically it.
Living While Starving / Starving While Living.
Living While Starving is an album released in 2015, also called Starving While Living, as Will had said that the words in the album are interchangeable depending on what we think the album or want the album to mean.
Little pieces of paper with no written on them.
An album released by Will on Bandcamp in 2010. It's currently not on any other streaming services. This album is composed of outtakes from other projects like My Back Is Killing Me Baby and 2, or projects that never ended up being released, like Stabby Oak.
Andrew's IG videos.
Couldn't find a single thing on this.
Los Borrachos meaning.
Los Borrachos has many themes, as does the entire album that the song is on, Monomomania, but the main one is past relationships. The song explains how Will tries to hang out with his friends to try and distract himself from his own heartbreak, but every time he spends time with them, he ends up talking about his ex, and his friends start to get tired of it.
Bodies intentional misspelling.
One thing that threw me off, and throws a lot of people off, when I first started getting into Will's music was Bodies, probably their most popular song, after Sober to Death. Not because of the song itself, but because of how it's spelt. Very obviously grammatically incorrect. I've actually wondered for a while myself why exactly it was spelled like that, because it seemed like something that everyone knew but never acknowledged. But from this Reddit thread, the best and probably most accurate thing that I could pull from this is that it's just another instance of a repeating motive, something that happens a lot in Will's music, like with his beach motif. The album cover itself is literally 2 dogs connected by the ears, or back of the head, as Will says, which is why he decided to make Bodies have a YS, so that they could be connected or one. My guess is that it's either that or just an inside joke that we'll never know about that he has with one of his friends, like this user says.
MBIKMB was originally 5.
The album My Back Is Killing Me Baby was originally supposed to be 5 in the numbered album series, but of course, that didn't end up happening.
Stoop Kid title inspiration.
Stoop Kid, a song off My Back Is Killing Me Baby, is inspired by a random line from a random episode of Hey Arnold.
Madlow EPs.
In 2021, Carseatheadrest released both Madlow influences and Madlow remixes, 2 more versions of their How to Make a Door Less Open. The influences variant focuses on their sonic inspiration, as it's composed of covers of songs that they had in mind while making the album, while the remix variant is, well, just remixes of the actual songs off the album.
Why it's called Carseatheadrest.
The biggest gamble in my life is telling people that I listen to Carseatheadrest or that they're one of my favorite bands, because it's either they just give a polite, oh yeah, that sounds cool, or they look at me like they're asking me to rearrange the words that just came out of my mouth, because why the hell did I just name a part of a vehicle? But no, once I got really into Carseatheadrest, I did start to wonder myself how the band got its name, so I don't blame them. Will decided on the name Carseatheadrest because before he had a band, i.e. his pre-Matador Matador stuff like My Back Is Killing Me Baby, Monomomania, etc., he would record all of his vocals in his car, so he was always staring at car seat headrests, so he decided to just name himself after that.
WIC March Mix.
War is Coming March Mix was released in 2017, with all of the proceeds of this version going to the Transgender Law Center.
TOD Recall.
In 2016, Matador Records recalled a bunch of copies of Teens of Denial because of an issue with the use of a specific lyric in the song Just What I Needed / Not Just What I Needed, which led to a few fans waiting a bit longer to get their CDs or vinyls, and other fans with completely different versions of the album altogether. Since, you know, that song has different lyrics than every other version if you get a copy of it before it was recalled.
Ivy cover.
Will has covered Ivy by Frank Ocean at around 16 live shows, according to Setlist FM, mostly in 2017, and a few of the recordings of this can be very easily found on YouTube or TikTok.
Bad Role Models.
Bad Role Models, Old Idols Exhumed, Teenagers, Put Your Clothes Back On, is a track off Teens of Style, and it is notably also one of the least streamed of the entire album. I really have nothing else to say on that. Maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know.
Commit Yourself Completely.
Commit Yourself Completely is a compilation album that came out in 2017 of a bunch of live performances of a few fan favorites of the previous year. This album featured performances of songs like Fill in the Blank, Bodies, Cute Thing, Beach Life and Death, and Drugs with Friends. Oh, sorry. I meant Joe gets kicked out of school for using drugs with friends, but says this isn't a problem. I really don't know why this can't even articulate myself. That's how shocking this title is.
Disjecta Membra.
I already fully explained this when I talked about Will's Bandcamp days, so I'm not going to do it again.
Will Barnes.
Will's full real name is William Barnes, but obviously he doesn't go by that, so...
No work is ever complete, or something like that.
See, I have no idea what this means, and obviously I'm not the only one, because someone under this iceberg asked what the context was behind it, but they never got an answer, which means you're also not going to get an answer.
Crow Krillers.
Crow Krillers was a monthly drama / comedy / horror / abstract comic series run by Cate Wurtz. I'd love to try and explain it, but I am honestly very confused about this myself, and I'm not having any luck finding answers on Google. So here's the Tumblr page that I found for it instead.
Old Something Soon video.
14 years ago, Will released a music video for his song Something Soon off My Back Is Killing Me Baby, before he had a band with him. I've never even watched either of them, but from what I've found of fans, people prefer this music video to the new one, made just a few years later after they were signed with Matador.
Galvanistic. A
made-up / grammatically incorrect word used in the mirror-to-mirror version of Nervous Young Inhumans, which he later explains in the monologue of the same song. The correct conjugation of the word, for lack of a better term, is galvanic.
NYM / Monomania alt cover.
To my knowledge, there's an alternative cover of Monomania, confirmed by this Reddit post, but I couldn't find it because apparently you have to download the album from Bandcamp, and I don't know how to do that. I did, however, find the alt cover for Nervous Young Men, because that is pretty easy to find.
Ellipses, Then It Will Be Exactly the Same as Earth.
Then It Will Be Exactly the Same as Earth is a song off 2, the title being a continuation of the song Pain Star, If Heaven Is Full of People, from Disjecta Membra. The song is 2 minutes and 55 seconds long, and all of the 2 minutes and 55 seconds is composed of the exact same 5 words over and over and over again. I love this guy, man. Peak lyricism.
The Bohemian Rhapsody cover.
Around 5 years ago, Will did a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Live from WCWM.
Why Me Records is a division of College of William and Mary's WCWM Radio. Local performers have the chance to showcase their live shows in the studio's semi-controlled setting through the Live at WCWM series, which Car Seat Headrest had the chance to be featured on. This album features not only Will on guitar and vocals, but also Katie Wood on guitar and vocals, Austin Ruff on bass and vocals, and Christian Northover on drums. It features songs like Stoop Kid, Los Borrachos, and of course, Bodies.
Nervous Young Men.
Nervous Young Men is one of Will's many old aliases. He released music under Nervous Young Men from 2009 to 2017, his most popular songs being The Bell Jar, Please Mr. Pilot, and Clowns in My Coffee.
Black Star / Times to Die.
Okay, a lot of things came up when I looked this up, so I feel like it's either all of them, none of them, or one of them. So I'm just gonna tell you all 3. Times to Die is a song that originally appeared on Monomania, but ended up being featured on Teens of Style instead. The second thing that I found was that in the song Famous Prophet Stars, one of the most popular songs off Twin Fantasy, there's a lyric, Call it Black Star, call it Pain Star, which mentions the Pain Star that is also mentioned in songs like Nervous Young Inhumans, Face to Face. Will has also done a cover of Black Star by David Bowie, but I feel like that's clearly not as relevant, so yeah, it's probably one of the first 2.
Kitty Pryde.
This was a song that was featured on the Live at WCWM album, named after American rap artist Kitty or Kitty Pryde.
Some Strange Angel was first the NYM closer.
Some Strange Angel off Nervous Young Men was meant to be the closing track of the album, but when Knife in the Coffee was written, Will decided to make that the closing track. He said on Bandcamp that because of the last minute decision, he's leaving it up to the listeners what they'd want the closing track to be, since technically it could change the meaning of the album for some people, saying, "The final 2 tracks are not meant to be in any particular order. Choose whichever sequence suits your needs the best."
Pog Interlude.
Pog Interlude is a gag song that was played once on a live stream on April 23rd, 2020, when the use of Pog was at its peak. The song only consisted of the lyrics, "What the hell does Pog mean? I've seen that too many times today. Does anyone know where it actually comes from? Is it an acronym? Play with game. It's a gamer thing? I don't know about that."
Not What I Needed, Simlish.
The song Not What I Needed from Teens of Denial was added to Sims 4 in the 2016 DLS of The Sims. The Sims 4 City Living.
Madlow Vinyl/CDs/streaming differences.
There are about 6 different versions of Making a Door Less Open or Madlow, with the main differences between them being the vinyl version features Him, while the CD and digital versions feature Him Remix. The original Deadlines is on the vinyl and CD, while it's been split into 2 tracks on digital, Deadlines Hostile and Deadlines Thoughtful. The CD versions include the acoustic versions of Deadlines and Hollywood as bonus tracks, with the biggest differences between the individual releases being the tracklist order itself.
TOD Japan bonus tracks.
The Japan exclusive version of Teens of Denial, with the tracks Act Suspicious and The Move, which aren't featured on any other versions of this album.
Unfinished, Pain Star, If Heaven is Full of People.
It's a track on Disjecta Membra. The majority of the song is an instrumental, with parts of My Boy, Twin Fantasy, every now and then, until the last line of the song, which is taken from Then It Will Be Exactly the Same as Earth, from the album too, making it very obvious that these songs are connected.
Cancelled Drunk Drivers/Killer Whales, MV.
I couldn't find anything on this. I'm sure it's true, but I just couldn't find anything to prove it.
High Life turned into TBO TCC.
And I'm assuming partially unfinished song off Disjecta Membra, High Life, ended up being reworked to becoming the Ballad of the Costa Concordia. Apparently, because I couldn't really find any information on this, just a Genius comment.
Something Soon has a sample from Forza Opener.
This Reddit user noticed that, according to Genius, Something Soon, Off My Back Is Killing Me Baby, uses a sample from A Good Bridge to Never Cross Until There's No Doubt That He's Dead. The user Surf Jerk helped them, and me, confirm that the drums on the chorus are the sample.
He doesn't see his boys much.
The lyric from a song off Twin Fantasy, My Boy, Twin Fantasy.
One wasn't intended to be listened to.
Again, I couldn't find any full confirmation for this, but it seems reasonable to believe that this is true, since I've seen people say before that Will removed all of his old music from streaming services because he doesn't really like it that much. Update, I found a Reddit thread going over an updated version of this iceberg and found out that Will said this in the description for one on his Bandcamp. So yes, this is true.
Monomania Shoulder.
I couldn't find anything on this specifically, so I just went to go look up Monomania and control-finded the word shoulders on every single song's lyric page, and came to realize that shoulders are mentioned a total of 3 times in 3 different songs on this album. It seems like Will just has a fixation on shoulders in general, because when I thought of shoulders, my brain automatically went to those are you got some nice shoulders from Bodies, and your 91-degree angled shoulders, fucking goddamn how I love your shoulders.
Corinthians 13:13.
Okay, I had no idea about this, but apparently there's a Bible reference in a Twin Fantasy song. Apparently there's possibly references in Famous Prophet Stars and Cute Thing. I've never heard of this anywhere else, so I don't really have any other commentary to add on this.
Anchorite.
Anchorite, Love You Very Much, is a song off Monomania, but an anchorite itself is a religious recluse or monk. An anchorite is a person who withdraws from society and becomes a recluse for religious reasons. Due to the meaning of Monomania itself and the theme of the album, it's possible that Will sees himself as becoming an anchorite due to his obsession with this one person's loss of love for him.
Mode Gone Meaning.
Mode Gone is another song off Monomania, clocking in at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. This song is written from the perspective of the Irish poet Mode Gone, spelt Gonne, about his unrequited love for his muse, who he proposed to 5 times. Jesus Christ.
Ground Zero CD.
The only thing that I could find on this was a 9-year-old Reddit post about someone who ordered merch and got the merch that they ordered, plus a CD with 2 tracks, with each being about 30 minutes long. One of them being a live recording of Carseatheadrest at Ground Zero, Bellevue, in Washington.
Sunburn Shirts EP.
The Sunburn Shirts EP was released in October of 2010, but was later taken down from Bandcamp because Will thought it was weak as a project on its own and ended up just combining it with 5 to make My Back Is Killing Me Baby. discography, and put some other songs on little pieces of paper with no written on them.
The gun song, No Trigger.
The gun song, No Trigger, is a song off Nervous Young Man, and from what I could find, the original gun song ended with a spliced version of Down by the River by Neil Young, but the No Trigger version doesn't have that, and it's probably like that for copyright reasons. But the original version can be found on YouTube.
Smash Mouth's Something Soon.
In 2017, the band Smash Mouth did a cover of Something Soon.
What a Pain Star Is.
In the lengthy monologue of the end of Nervous Young and Humans Face to Face, Will mentions the concept of a pain star, with the lyrics, "A pain star has entered into your house. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to touch it? It only happens once every 1,000 years. Maybe even 2,000 years." The idea of a pain star comes from a Cate Wurtz comic, Lamezine 001. The premise is that when you touch it, for a split second, you will feel unbearable pain. The comic is based on a dream a friend of Will's and Kate's had.
Nora Knight.
On Bandcamp, you can find a version of misheard lyrics from Monomomania featuring Nora Knight, who has a presence on SoundCloud.
Divine Council.
In Times to Die, the Divine Council is mentioned multiple times throughout the song, which is a reference to the Hebrew Bible. In this Bible, God is the ultimate ruler, and his numerous supernatural attendants make up the Divine Council, a metaphorical governing body.
Death in Modern America, 1977 to 1997.
Death in Modern America, 1977 to 1997, is an album that was released by Cate Wurtz on Bandcamp near the end of 2011, with the description stating shitty demos / dicking around / whatever, many featuring Will Toledo of Carseatheadrest, with Will being credited for vocals and guitar.
Does It Feel Good to Say Goodbye?
Does It Feel Good to Say Goodbye is a track that was made by the band for a short film about a down-on-his-luck magician, directed by Connor Byrne and presented by Ray-Ban's Film.
Most of Carseatheadrest's discography wouldn't exist without For Affinity.
I could find absolutely nothing on this, like nothing quoting Will or anything except for this, claiming that Will had an account on Fur Affinity, one of the largest online furry communities who focuses on promoting art, music, and stories, and used to post his music on there, but has since deactivated it since gaining more popularity.
Adam Driver.
From what I could find of this, somewhere around 2020 to 2023, Daniel Craig, Adam Driver, and Channing Tatum all went to a Carseatheadrest concert, and obviously, considering their popularity, got recognized there, which is why it was publicized.
Fangface.
FF, or Fangface, is a song off little pieces of paper with no written on them. On Will's Bandcamp page for this song, he said, "This was recorded before I even started Carseatheadrest. I included it because album 2 has another version of it, which was actually an edited version of the demo."
Destroyed by Hippie Powers, radio edit.
I don't really know why this is here since songs get clean versions or radio edits all the time, but it's here, so I'm mentioning it.
Times to Die / Open Mouth Dog.
Times to Die / Open Mouth Dog is basically the demo for Times to Die. The only way that I could trace back to this was an old Tumblr post that Will made, and a track that this user said sounds like could be the origins of this demo off Kate's album.
The Gun Song and the Beach series. Speculation.
I couldn't really find anything concrete on this either, but Will has carried out a pretty prominent beach motif throughout his entire discography, even his old stuff. One of this band's most streamed songs is literally Beach Life and Death. Songs like Beach Week, Beach Blank, Beach Drugs, Beach Death, and Beach Funeral, with 3/4 of these being mentioned in Beach Life and Death itself. I'm not really sure if a lot of people agree with this theory, because I went to go look up people's opinions on the Beach series, and this is the order that kept popping up.
Thrice is a Nice podcast.
Thrice is Nice was a podcast that Will and his friends had. The artists that they played were literally just themselves.
Michael Stipe.
Michael Stipe is the lead singer of the alt-rock band REM, or REM. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce this. He's brought up in the song Stranger, off My Back Is Killing Me Baby.
Psst. Teenagers comes from Aladdin.
The song Psst, Teenagers, Take Off Your Clothes is a song off Teens of Denial, and apparently the lyrics are a play on a subliminal message discovered in 1992's Aladdin, in which people claim that during Aladdin's stint as Prince Ali, there is a second voice to be heard in the background that tells teenagers to, quote, take off their clothes, while he meets with Jasmine on the balcony.
TF, Vinyl Locked Groove.
The closing track of the album, Twin Fantasy Those Boys, has an alternative ending on the vinyl from the online album, for example, where the instrumentals repeat itself over and over until you pick up the needle off the record. The reason for this, as this user said, is that the vinyl has a locked groove, and it was perhaps made like this to represent the end of the album, and how you're the only one to choose when to stop and wake up from the fantasy, referring back to the album title itself.
Altered ditto lyrics in The Ballad of the Costa Concordia.
I've actually never heard of this until just now, but apparently Will changed the lyrics to the ballad from "I will go down with the ship and I will not surrender" to "I won't go down with the ship I have lost and I always will be," for no reason that I could find.
TF had plans to be called 6.
I couldn't find anything on this, but it seems like it's probably true considering all the history with the numbered albums.
Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio is an outtake from the face-to-face version of Twin Fantasy. Its lyrics being reworked into the song Romantic Theory off Monomania. At least that's what I could mostly find of this song. But according to Will, this song wasn't an outtake, but a submission for an online competition called Spiritual Advice in the Vacuum that it was later featured on.
Beach Blank, Beatles Parallel.
The first line of Beach Blank is a direct reference to the song A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
Stabby Ode.
After finishing his album 1 and 2, Will started working on a project he was calling Stabby Ode. His plans with this project were to take tracks directly off Abbey Road, the album by the Beatles, and cut them up, reverse them, loop them, and make songs from that base, and then take them out of the song, but only finished 6 songs off this project before losing interest in it altogether, leaving this project unfinished.
TF and Monomania were once a double album.
I couldn't find anything on this, but what I did find was a giant thread of a bunch of people explaining the connections between Twin Fantasy and Monomania, along with some other projects. So I'm not sure if saying yes to them being a double album would be the right move here.
Times to Die / Open Mouth Dog.
Repeat.
AC music video.
AC is a song off Districta Membra, but to my knowledge, it doesn't have a music video, so I don't know what this is about.
Cancelled TOS Roost the Cells.
In a 2016 interview, Will revealed that he had plans to put Reuse of Cells off My Back Is Killing Me Baby on Teens of Denial, but it just didn't end up making the cut.
Mr. Yay OK.
In high school, Will was a part of a band called Mr. Yay OK, but ended up switching gears and going solo, opting to release music anonymously instead. The band was composed of Will and 2 of his other classmates, Mike McHugh and Brandon Smead. All 3 of them also had another band under the name of 63rd I'm gonna kill myself. 63rd Fret, with the addition of another member. The band ran from around 2007 to 2010, and their music is very adjacent to Will's earlier music.
Google Maps in joke.
Couldn't find anything on this except for a slight updated version of this iceberg itself. So
14-minute Hey Space Cadet.
Couldn't find a single thing on this, and honestly, it confused me because Hey Space Cadet is 11 minutes long. So like, maybe there's some 14-minute version that I don't know about? I don't know.
$1,000 track.
For seemingly no reason, Dickless Heart off the album 4 cost $1,000 on Bandcamp. Yeah. Update, Will decided to make this track $1,000 because, quote, he just wanted to see how much Bandcamp would let him make a track.
Sweet Caroline.
In an interview with Rolling Stone, it was revealed that Will had to redo the track Unforgiving Girl off Teens of Denial to remove a 3-note phrase from Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline that he couldn't get legal clearance for, along with also having to change the title of a song off that album for seemingly the same reasons.
The End of the Golden Age.
The End of Golden Age is an old demo from 2011 that was originally written for Twin Fantasy but didn't make the cut.
Will's Bio.
A song somehow of Will and Michael reading Will's bio. I really feel like I'm lacking a great amount of context here because I cannot find any of it.
Rebel Radio.
A repeat. Again.
Rum Punch is unbelievably delicious.
This song was played for a loading page on a Cate Wurtz comic before being removed, but re-uploads can be found on YouTube.
TOD, Ending of Dramamine.
There's a recording of the Ending of Dramamine that was recorded during around 2016 to 17, or the Teens of Denial era, but has obviously since been removed since I cannot find it anywhere.
Techno DD / KW.
I also couldn't find anything on this either. The best I could do was an old EDM version of this song, but obviously those are not the same thing.
The Triumph of Bachos.
The title of Los Borrachos is obviously in Spanish, which is a direct translation to The Drunks, a reference to the painting The Triumph of Bachos, Los Borrachos by Diego. I don't want to butcher this last name, so I'm just not going to say it because I have the option to.
4's cover is directly from a Cate Wurtz comic.
If you scroll for long enough on one of Cate's old comics, you can find what would soon become the album cover for Will's album 4.
Wave Goodbye to the Jets.
Around 4 years ago, Wave Goodbye to the Jets, an album that Will had been working on, appeared on a Tumblr post. This album was going to include songs like Waiting for the Jets, Nobody Dies, and Way Down, which can all be found on YouTube. But at the last minute, Will ended up canceling the album because it was too big of a project for him at the time.
Teens of Exile.
Coming from the same Reddit user, Teens of Exile was meant to be a B-side compilation containing outtakes from projects like Teens of Denial and Teens of Style, but the reason why it was never released is unknown.
Carseatheadrest Christmas 2012.
Carseatheadrest Christmas was an old SoundCloud event that Will did where he posted a Nervous Young Men or Districta Membra song in the days preceding Christmas, then deleted the upload a few days later.
The 63rd Fret.
Already kind of went over this when I was talking about Mr. Yeah OK, so I don't feel like I need to explain it again.
Tracklist for an imaginary album.
referring to a random Tumblr post that Will made in 2015.
Will you please pass the milk, please?
This was originally on 2, but got removed shortly after for no reason that I could find. The whole song is basically just one big giant monologue.
Hot, yes, hot.
Hot Yes Hot was an album that Will released in 2010 that contained songs like Beach Week, Foreign Song, and Sun Hot.
The Violent Ballet.
According to the creator of this iceberg, The Violent Ballet was a Nervous Young Men album, and the only way that this was proved to be true was from Will's scrabbles on Last FM.
Therapy.
And the last entry, said by the creator of this iceberg themselves, is a joke entry. So that was the Carseatheadrest Iceberg.